Can you talk about figuring out sort of the structure of what this movie was going to be? Because at a certain point, it feels like Kick-Ass, even though he's obviously the focus of the story, it feels like his arc is sort of resolved at a certain point, and then the rest of the movie opens up sort of more exponentially about the world that his decision to become a hero sort of opens. And how did you sort of figure out what was going to be, to keep sort of a narrative?
Well, his arc's not really resolved until the end, because the movie starts with him saying, why does nobody help people? And then halfway through, he goes, I realise why people don't help people, because you've got something to lose. And then in the end, he says, well, I have something to lose, but I still want to go help someone. So that's his arc. But he's more like Luke Skywalker in the sense that, he's a nerd, and then gets trained up, and then has to go off and do the final mission. So that's sort of your arc.
Well, I know what you mean though, because it was something we talked about. I remember when we were sitting with John Harris in the Eds, and we were thinking, in a normal movie, you're with Luke from Tatooine all the way to blowing up the Death Star. I wish I didn't know these names, but it's true. Like, you're with Luke for his entire journey, but I know what you mean, there's like 5 minutes or 10 minutes where you don't see him, sort of, when Dave goes off screen. And I suppose we were sort of struggling with that a little, because it was this a chapter-like way a comic is done, is a bit more like a book, where you maybe don't see the lead character for a chapter, and then it comes back. So the introduction of Hit Girl and Big Daddy, it was the way to do that sort of seamlessly in the hospital, just seemed like the best time, wasn't it? To kind of close off Dave for a moment and then come back to him later.
Yeah, that's what I think it's saying halfway through. I think also it's a multi-character film. That's the poster. So
That is an ensemble.
Yeah, and I think it's more interesting to have more than one central character.
In the comic book, which I know was not finished when the movie was going on, Hit Girl in the end is basically, Aaron gets really roughed up in the film.
Yeah.
He's got bruises and cuts all over, and a lot of other characters do. And in the comic book, the character Hit Girl is basically just dipped in blood in the end. And I felt like she definitely kicks a lot of butt, but she definitely didn't get as bloody as Aaron did in the makeup chair. Was that a conscious decision because you didn't have the original ending of the book?
I've never read the last comic,
What?
so I don't know what happened.
I walked out during the end of the movie. I went for a pee. I'm excited.
Well, no, you only finished it, right?
Yeah, it came out last. It did come out last month. I should.
You have to add that.
Yeah, but at the same, she does get a bit bloody. I had a problem with Mark Strong. I wanted Mark Strong to stamp on her head in the fight and really kick her around the room, but he refused to do it.
He's such a pussy.
Yeah, so he only punched her a few times.
Matthew asked him to kick me, I could kick him back on.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I can't do that.
He just wouldn't do it. So, she can only get bloody if things happen to make it. So, but Mark was, I don't know, sometimes people forget they're playing a character. So he felt uncomfortable about stamping on her head.
I was laughing all the way through that fight scene last night, 'cause I was just thinking about Mark. He is probably one of the greatest actors in the world. In Britain, he's worshipped by other actors. He's a Royal Shakespeare kind of guy and all that. And I love the idea of him fighting an 11-year-old girl. And it just tickled me, watching.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me.
So he's not as scary in real life.
Oh, he's
Oh
terrifying.
no, he's all sweet, sweet.
He's a
Sweet guy.
sweetheart, he has a little kid, he's the cutest kid ever. Two.
That's
My wife doesn't stomp you because he's blood bitch. He's stomping his own daughter. It's somebody's kid.
He's the sweetest guy, he's like a little teddy bear.
He actually is. He's a good actor.
What are your thoughts on continuing the adventures of Kick-Ass and Hit Girl?
I have a lot of thoughts on it.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't
right.
want to test it. It will be, just like tempting fate. If the film's a hit, then I'll start engaging on it. If it's not, then it won't happen.
Let me just add that I really badly want a purple Ducati in a second.
Is it something where maybe Mark and Matthew have ideas of what Red Mist style?
Yeah, we've both got
Yeah,
lots of
but
ideas.
we want to get the comic up and running for the DVD coming out, so Johnny and I will get moving on that. Obviously we'll do it in conjunction
So
with
that's coming out in like 4 months.
Oh, we're fast.
Have the animation kids are on the schedule.
Yeah.
So the plan is, get that out at the end of the summer and have it all done, hopefully a year ahead of time this time, so we can capitalise on the trade paperback.
And then somebody will complain about it being too far in advance of the film.
Yeah.
I'll get in trouble either way.
Where do we find Red Mist in the sequel?
Well, Red Mist becomes, I hope I'm not spoiling it for anyone, but at the end of this movie, he's a bad guy. So he becomes, he's the Joker to this guy, But we're talking about another villain as well. So he'll almost be a sidekick to this other guy, but
What do you want to call this villain again?
Yeah. Well, my working, somewhere between the motherfucker and the cunts. That's the two names I've got for the bad. Well, I just thought it's better than the Joker, isn't it? The Joker is. I forgot who was a cunt.
We had a slight argument. I'm using that word because I assumed that the character, the girl, was a New York girl, and I've never heard of any female in New York use that C word. I can't even say it myself. And I emailed him saying, no, a little girl from New York is not going to say that. Just say, so you MFers want to do this, or you? And he said, no, sorry, I want a shock value. I want to do it this way. I said, but Brits say that. Americans don't say that. They're cowards when it comes to cursing like that. No, that was it. So now he wants to name a whole character out of it.
My rationale for using it in the book,
I can't say the word.
The editor said to me as well, says Americans don't say this, and I said, look, at the end of Star Wars, when the Death Star explodes, you shouldn't hear sound in space, but it's cool. You know?
You're
And that was my it's cool. Let's just do it.
When that Death Star exploded, not every female cringed when they hear that word.
Actually, it's just a little word though, guys, come on.
I know.
Actually, well, since you brought that up, I mean, and not to get too terribly sensitive about this, but
Please do.
there has been a little bit of controversy about the idea.
Exactly why he did it.
Right, and I mean, I'm just wondering, like, how would you respond to like some of these parent groups that are getting a little too overly serious about, you know, responding to what they see in the movie? I mean, do you think that, I think you guys did a pretty good job of you knew what you were doing and you were kind of satirizing yourself, but it seems like people are taking it a little overly
Well, yeah, the people who take it overtly serious haven't seen the film.
Yeah.
So the way I feel is, if you know, I said this earlier, if you know, it's a movie, you do not have to buy a ticket. Number one. Secondly, it's a character. You know, this is a character that slaughters and kills people and has been, you know, from the age of 5, been brainwashed. And you know, if she was working for the U.S. government, killing the Taliban, and swore as a 19-year-old Navy SEAL, no one would complain. So, but it's also interesting that we're discussing more about the fact that she, you know, swears more than she kills, which I would rather be in a bunch of rooms with people swearing at me than hacking me.
Yeah.
Come to Glasgow.
Yeah, you get both in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Chloe, could you talk about what you did to sort of develop a relationship with Nicholas?
Well, me and Nick's relationship was really, you know, Nick and I's. His dad, as you can tell. I don't know, it's kind of just very natural, you know? He's such a cool, nice guy, and from the moment I met him, you know, I was just so starstruck to meet him just because he's an Oscar winner and he's Nicolas Cage. Every actor looks up to him, and, you know, just being able to work with him and being able to have a relationship like that with him, just, you know, like father and daughter, it's amazing. It just came so naturally.
Did you get to do anything else in Austin while you were here? Any kind of barbecue or anything like that?
We had a barbecue somewhere last night. It was pretty good.
How's that go?
Went to the Hut Burger or something just now, which is nice. So we eat.
I'm going to try out McDonald's. I hear it's very good.
I don't know if any of you know that one restaurant is straight there.
Oddly enough, it's not Irish.
McDonald's. I thought it was just some Scottish guy.
John, I wanted to comment, a lot of your drawings actually appear in the film. I was wondering, how many drawings exactly did you end up having to do? And did they give those all back to you?
I'm not going to answer that last question.
I actually don't know where they are.
I know where they are. I'm going to hold them ransom.
Where have you got them back?
I know, I don't have them in my possession, but I have them
Someone there?
under control. I know where they are. Yeah, you'll
He drew everything.
Yeah.
I don't remember the amount of drawings.
Okay.
And there was also structural drawings and model sheets for the animation. I don't remember the total amount, but still more fun than anything I've done. Shouldn't have said that. Should have said I sweated. I just sweated blood for this film, because it's an art form. It's very important to me.
What did Brad Pitt bring to this film as a producer?
Brad was like my anchor of how everything works in America. Because when I realized I was sort of declaring war, I thought I must have had an ally that was like a 10,000-pound gorilla, which he can be, in a good way. And he was just, I sent him the script. He was one of the first people to read the script, and he just loved it. And he just said, look, I'm in, whatever you need to help get this thing made. Let's just do it.